culture and the arts. You're watching PBC Jamaica.
It's Thursday, November 30. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Secretary General for the United Nations World Tourism Organization, Talib Rafai, is insisting that his comments at the Global Conference on Jobs and Inclusive Growth Partnerships for Sustainable Development on Tuesday were never intended as an attack on all-inclusive hotel models. On Tuesday, Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, Talib Rafai, stated, quote, "We cannot continue to promote modern-day plantations in our own countries called exclusive resorts. This is not the model we are looking for at all," end quote. Speaking at a press briefing on Wednesday, he said he was disappointed by the media's slant on his comments.
I was a little bit disappointed this morning to see some of the coverage in the news about some of what I said yesterday. Not disappointed by what the media was covering, because I'm sure there might have been good intentions in this. But when you say, stop promoting modern day plantation called exclusive resorts, when you say the UN Secretary General is blasting all-inclusive, that's a bit unfair. Let me clarify this once and for all.
He insisted that his comments at the Global Conference on Jobs and Inclusive Growth on Tuesday were never intended as an attack on all-inclusive hotel models. Rather, he said his intention was to illustrate that all-inclusive models should transform into, quote, becoming more socially inclusive, end quote, in the future. Rafai said following his address, he was approached by hoteliers who agreed with his view.
What I was suggesting here yesterday in some of my remarks were a way for the future, a direction that these resorts must take. And I must say that many of them have come to me after I did my speech and said, yes, that's the way we want to go. So we have to give them credit for that instead of having it look as if it's us against them. There's nothing of the sort. So I just wanted to make this very, very clear in front of everybody.
Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC, is concerned about the failure of a contractor to deliver 200 pre-owned motor vehicles to the Jamaica Constabulary Force, having missed 2 deadlines despite receiving payment of more than $200 million. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Diane McIntosh, told the PAAC that to date, only 30 of the 200 vehicles has been delivered, and that the contractor was requesting waivers of general consumption tax and special consumption tax, which were not part of the agreement. The committee was told that 66 vehicles were at the wharves waiting to be cleared. The contractor, as per contract, was required to pay all relevant fees for the release of the vehicles. It was revealed that the contractor said he was facing problems honoring the contract. A 90-day extension was granted with effect from June 6, 2017 to September 4, 2017. McIntosh said that the Security Ministry had written to the Attorney General seeking legal advice on how to proceed.
If the vehicles have not been delivered on November the 24th, has the ministry started to take the necessary actions with regard to these tour brands?
Well, we were about to invoke. Then we heard that a moratorium was granted by Customs after discussions between Ministry of Finance and Customs for the clearing of the vehicles. So I understand that Mr. O'Brien's international car sales is now clearing the vehicles as we speak.
What do you mean by a moratorium?
Would you like to?
Because if a contract has gone out and the terms of the contract are such, and there's any form of waiver or anything that would allow, or moratorium, which would now allow them favorable treatment as with regard to persons who previously had tendered, that could not be a correct action by government.
Good morning, everyone. Minister, the Ministry of Finance does not consider to be favorable treatment. They are of the view that the ministry... Your
microphone, please. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Is it down?
Okay. Yes, the Ministry of Finance is of the view that the Ministry of National Security ought to pay the GCT and SCT on the vehicles, and that it's a requirement by law.
PAAC Chairman Wickham McNeil described the situation as a scandalous mess. Leader of Opposition Business in the House of Representatives, Philip Paulwell, says he'll be moving a motion to bring Prime Minister Andrew Holness before the Standing Orders Committee.
Whereas the Leader of the Opposition at the sitting of the House of Representatives on November 21, 2017, sought to table a motion in relation to the bill shortly entitled the National Identification and Registration Act 2017, in keeping with Standing Order 24 subsection 13, and whereas ensuing disorder resulted in the sitting of the House of Representatives being suspended for 20 minutes, notwithstanding the period of suspension lasted for more than 20 minutes without an extension being granted to do so, and whereas in the agenda item, bills brought from the Senate, the Prime Minister early indicated that the amendments to the bill shortly entitled the National Identification and Registration Act 2017 would be taken at a later date, and whereas on the resumption of the sitting, the Prime Minister reversed his previous position and sought and received the Speaker's approval for the amendments from the Senate to be considered at that time, and whereas the amendments from the Senate were approved en bloc without each clause being considered and voted on, and whereas the foregoing could be considered to be breaches of the standing orders, be it resolved that this Honourable House take note of the matters herein and refer them for consideration to the Standing Orders Committee of the House of Representatives as a matter of urgency.
Philip Paulwell was speaking during Thursday's sitting of the lower house. The NIDS legislation was passed last week unopposed after PMP members of the lower house walked out of the sitting. The island's first public cancer treatment center has been opened at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James. Ground was broken for the state-of-the-art cancer treatment center in November 2015. Another such center will be located on the grounds of St. Joseph's Hospital in Kingston. Work on that facility began in February 2016. The centers are to be outfitted with linear accelerator machines, which are the modern technology in radiotherapy treatment. The project to build both centers cost US $14.5 million, with major funding from the National Health Fund, the Chase Fund, and the Tourism Enhancement Fund. Model guidelines for sexual offense cases in the Caribbean region has been launched. Speaking at the recent launch, Culture and Gender Minister OLIVIA GRANGE said the model guidelines represent the shared understanding and a commitment of the government of Jamaica around the imperative of eliminating sexual violence. Minister Grange said the Jamaica Constabulary Force statistics showed that there were 614 incidents of rape in 2015 and 496 in 2016. The parishes combined accounted for 41% of all cases for 2015 and 2016 respectively. The document, which was launched in tandem with the Jamaica Judiciary, is intended to provide international accepted best practices for the management of sexual offense cases. It offers a rights-based approach to the treatment of complaints and vulnerable witnesses, including children involved in sexual assault cases. Jamaican musician icon Dr. James Jimmy Cliff Chambers is to be named Honorary Fellow of the Montego Bay Community College during the school's graduation exercise scheduled for the Montego Bay Convention Center in Rose Hall on Sunday. Each year, the college selects candidates for induction as honorary fellows based on their contribution to nation building, especially in parishes where the college has campuses. A native of Somerton, St. James, Jimmy Cliff began making music as a child. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in March 2010. Rain or shine, we will be unveiling the USAIN Bolt statue on a Sunday, December 3. That's the word from Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, OLIVIA GRANGE. The minister made the declaration on Wednesday after visiting the site on Statue Road in Independence Park, where the sculpture will be mounted. Prime Minister Andrew Holness will unveil the statue in a special ceremony scheduled to begin at 5:30 on Sunday afternoon. The ceremony will be attended by several notable figures in local and international sports.
Mr. Victor Lopez will be our special guest. He'll be attending the unveiling, and Mr. Lopez is the president of NACAC, which is the Athletic Association for North America and the Caribbean, Central America and the Caribbean. We have other special guests coming. We are getting a specially recorded message from Lord Sebastian Coe, who is head of the IAAF. He was unable to come, but he has sent a message which will be played on the occasion. Of course, the unveiling will be done by the Prime Minister, who is the keynote speaker. We have an interesting program lined up, and Usain Bolt is looking forward to this event.
The minister went to the Independence Park complex, which houses the National Stadium, to observe the work on the pedestal on which the bronze statue, to the scale of 1 1/4 life size, will be mounted. The sculpture was designed by renowned Jamaican sculptor Basil Watson. It's the first of 4 statues of national sports stars that were commissioned by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport under the Jamaica 55 Legacy Program. Watson is also working on sculptures for Shelley Ann Fraser-Price, Veronica Campbell-Brown and Asafa Powell. The public is invited to attend the unveiling ceremony. In regional news, Vincentian diplomat Sean Marshall has been recalled from the United Nations to explain a damning allegation of domestic violence to the Rolf Gonsalves administration. Days after Marshall, a consulate of the island's permanent mission to the United Nations, reportedly punched his wife, Zandra Marshall, who's also a diplomat, in the mouth. The government has issued a recall for the embattled diplomat. According to reports in the New York Post newspaper, police officers responded to an incident at the family's home last Friday, a day before International Day to Eliminate Violence Against Women, when Mrs. Marshall was allegedly slapped in the face by her husband in front of her mother. Marshall was not arrested because he has diplomatic immunity. The Prime Minister said his administration is treating the matter, quote, with utmost seriousness and is considering all the alive legal options in this matter, end quote, adding that his government takes a very strong position against domestic violence. And in sports, the Inter-Secondary Schools Sports Association, ISSA, has ordered defending Manning Cup champions, Jamaica College, to apologize to referees for their verbal attack on the officials following their 1-2 loss to Kingston College in the ISSA Flow Super Cup semi-final game on November 18. The decision was handed down at a disciplinary hearing yesterday morning at ISSA's office on Lindsay Crescent in Kingston, where JC's principal, Wayne Robinson, team manager Ian Forbes, assistant coach Andre Peart, and team doctor Derek McDowell attended. Robinson, the JC principal, said that his school would abide by ISSA's ruling and they accept that the referee's decision is final. And that's all we have for news right now, but do stay with us. The weather report is next. This is PBCJ's weather report. Thanks so much for staying with us. Let's start with our local currents. In Kingston right now, it's just about 28 degrees Celsius, and we're seeing a forecast of some sunny skies, but some cloudy conditions in some areas. We're seeing that the sun came up at 5:50 a.m. this morning, but it will go down at 6:33 p.m. We're also seeing a forecast of some scattered showers this evening. And let's look at our 7-day forecast. We're seeing there's a possibility of showers throughout the weekend. We're looking at a 70% chance of a shower on Saturday and Sunday. So all of you who are intending to attend the unveiling of the USAIN Bolt statue, please ensure that you dress and plan accordingly. We're seeing that the average temperature going into next week will be between 22 and 29 degrees Celsius. Over there in Montego Bay, we're looking at the 7-day forecast. We're seeing that there's a 30% chance of rainfall tomorrow, and there's an average temperature between 22 and 28 degrees Celsius. It should be pretty sunny out on Monday, but we're still seeing a forecast of a possibility of rainfall. We're seeing that we could have scattered showers over there in St. James throughout the weekend as well. In our forecast for today across the island, we can expect sunny skies across most parishes for most of the day. We're expecting an average temperature between 28 and 31 degrees Celsius. In our forecast for tonight, we're expecting scattered showers in the hilly inland areas of the island. We're also expecting some cloudy conditions in some areas as well. We're seeing an average temperature between 22 and 24 degrees Celsius, so it should be pretty cool out in most areas. In our forecast for tomorrow, we can expect some rainfall across the island, and we're also seeing a forecast of an average temperature between 28 and 31 degrees Celsius. Let's take a look now at our forecast across the region. For those of you who are expecting to travel the eastern end of the Caribbean, you can expect scattered showers. We're also seeing a forecast of cloudy conditions in Santo Domingo. And we're also expecting that an average temperature between 26 and 29 degrees Celsius will be happening across the region tomorrow. And that's it for the weather report. Thanks so much for making it PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.
Hi, I'm Doug Hollywood Gore. I'm a professional race car driver here in Jamaica.